Welcome to another episode of Afikra Quartertones. My name is Mikey Mhenna. With us today is Zeid Hamdan, the Lebanese music composer who has been behind some of the most influential musical groups and is one of the pillars of the Lebanese underground scene for multiple decades. Zeid, you know how much of a fan of you I am. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, I'm so honored to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
So, Zaid, let's talk. I want to tell a story I overheard about you in front of you a couple months ago, and it was a story about you in school, and like wearing white pants, and somehow you got away with wearing white pants in school, and the teacher, the principal was justifying the story and said to another student was complaining, saying, how come Zaid gets to wear white pants? We're not allowed to wear white pants. And the principal said, it's because Zaid is an artist.
That's unfair.
So my question to you is, when did you first become comfortable thinking about yourself as an artist and as a performer?
The one thing I realized about artists in general was how free they are, the huge freedom they have, and how they can escape sometimes rules. And I discovered that watching my sister be a total fan of Aha, this Norwegian band in the 80s, Take On Me and all those tracks. And also the Beatles. She had those posters on the wall. And I was fascinated because I was very uncomfortable with my body and my shape. I was overweight, and this triggered in my mind the desire to become an artist, just to escape sometimes rules and also to be really loved. So yeah, artists have superpowers, and it gives them access to some things that others don't have.
Do you feel like, do you remember your first performance? Because you're a very captivating performer. Like, you work the crowd so well, and you seem to very, very clearly be a performing artist, specifically. Do you remember your first time that you performed on stage that you felt, oh my God, I feel comfortable up here. This is where I need to be?
But, I'm very surprised you say I'm a good performer. Because it's not, I don't go on stage with an idea of what's going to happen. I don't have tricks with the crowd. I need the crowd to give me, I need the crowd to make me feel comfortable. And if the crowd does, then I am very loving and sharing the same way I am with friends. But sometimes I'm in front of a crowd that is hostile, and
Yeah.
I'm petrified. And this happens a few times. It's in a year, it happens a few times where you will see me petrified on stage, and you wouldn't say, oh, he's a good performer. So I'm a good performer if I have a good crowd. And it's not about the number. It's really about the faces in front.
Yeah. Yeah. I know it's super interesting. I want to go back to some of the history. What was the first band you were a part of that maybe I don't even know? What was the first time you and some friends were producing music and you guys had a name?
So in the 90s, late 80s, beginning 90s, there was this phenomenon in France called La Fête de la Musique, initiated by Jacques Lang, the Minister of Culture at the time. And it invited everyone that knew how to practice an instrument to just go on the streets and play. And that's a great concept. And at that time, we formed our first band with my friends. It was called Excès de vitesse. It means speed when you go too fast on the highway and the police stops you. It's called in France Excès de vitesse. And so that was my first band that you haven't heard about. And we started playing Jimi Hendrix and The Doors, and already some of my compositions, because I was so bad at playing covers that the best things I was able to play was my compositions.
So cool.
So, yeah, another band I played in was a combination of the band Scrambled Eggs and the band The New Government. We formed like a super band, and we performed maybe once. And what was the name of this band? I'm so sad I forgot the name of the band, although the music was crazy amazing. But I know it was a blend of those two bands that I completely adore, Scrambled Eggs and The New Government. Maybe The New Government is not so heard of, because it's not so much on Spotify. It has a few tracks. There's one album. It's a very rare band with so much music, and you have to dig for it. So I would say The New Government. I played a lot with Kanja Koha, which is a huge star in Guinea today. He played with Tikunja Fakoli, with Alpha Blondy, and with the biggest stars on the scene, on the West African scene. But Kanja and I did an album, and we toured. And this album is not well known. It's called La Guinée, and you also have to dig for it to find it, because it's not up there on Spotify. I have an amazing album with Danny Baladi that is unreleased also. You have to dig for the tracks and find them here and there sparsely. It's not on Spotify. I have a wonderful album with Kazamata, a super band we had formed with Tamer Abu Ghazali, Donia Masoud, and Mahmoud Radaide from the band Jadal. So that's what a super band. And you can't find the track out there. You have to dig. You have to check the DJ sets. You have to go, and that's why I'm so excited when someone invites me for a DJ set. I can play the songs that you can't find out there, and they are, in my opinion, they are killer tracks. But it's just that.
I want to ask you about this, because the people listening to the podcast, I don't know if they can hear your smile, but you say it with like it's almost like you're tickled by the idea that these are hard to find.
Well, it hurts me, honestly. It hurts me, and I find it absurd, right? Like, I think every time you do beautiful art, it should be shared and spread. And the music business is so cruel. It's so cruel to a point that sometimes the companies or people will stop the music from existing because they feel it endangers their personal project. And let me talk about Soapkills. About Soapkills on that point. Yasmin and I have produced a lot more tracks than the things that are released. And I could not share them, honestly. I had to kill them, because, the label would have other ambition for Yasmin's solo career, or Yasmin herself would not recognize herself in a certain style. And so those tracks are there. They're beautiful. The friends that hear them would adore them, but they will just not exist. This is like hiding a baby, right?
Yeah.
Hiding a child.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, let me ask you about the DJ sets before we get into Soapkills, because obviously, or maybe not obvious to some who don't know, but Soapkills, the influence of the band and the music is huge. But you'd mentioned DJ sets. I wonder how much of Beirut's like club culture and clubbing culture do you feel like influenced your music? Because Beirut is such a nightlife-based scene, and specifically a scene that also has nightlife revolving around DJs, I think more than revolving around live music. And so these two things are like intertwined. So I wonder how much those things influence your music and influenced the underground indie scene in the 90s.
Well, on a very personal level, I know. I wanted to create tracks that would sound good in a club. The moment I met Said in DJing in a club called Villa Brown on Mono Street, and he would play some of my tracks, and I would go to the studio and fix it and come back and say, "Oh, can you try this mix?" And he would try it, and I would feel the pleasure of feeling how it sounded in a club or in a sound system. And so this relation to DJs, and Jad was not only a DJ, he's a musician. He had a band called, my memory is so bad. What was the band of Jad Said? He had a great band. Okay, he will kill me if he hears this podcast, but it's his fault because he doesn't put his band so much on the front. Anyway, so it was important for me that my music sounded powerful on a sound system in a club as much as on a stage in front of people. And that's really Beirut, because we didn't have access to TV or radio. We were not played. So we could only exist on a stage and on small stages because our music would not attract the big crowds or be pumped in a club. And this is where the big crowds were. So me as a musician, I had to sound really good as a producer, and I had to be really good on stage. You see, it was my two personal drive.
Yeah. And I mean, that's evident in Soapkills for sure, and also in Bedouin Burger. Let's talk a little bit about Soapkills. How did you and Yasmin first start working together, and what did the music start like in the beginning, and then how did it evolve throughout the run together?
Yasmin and I met through friends at school, and we immediately connected as friends, and we would love taking pictures and playing with the image. I think the image you are using shows really how much fun we would play with our image. This is the picture you show is taken from how say roman photo. You know, there are those stories that you buy, that you used to buy. It does not exist anymore, and it's just pictures with bubbles like cartoons, but it's done with, and often romantic stories. It's a form, and this is a picture of that. So it started with us taking pictures, and then when I realized that Yasmin had an amazing voice, she would sing Disney cartoon songs. I told her, I had a band at the time called Lombrix, and I told her, please come and sing with us. And very quickly, the project was more of Yasmin and I doing a project on our own and recording and continuing to have fun with music and image. So this is how Soapkills began. This was the late 90s.
Before we get into how the sound emerged, and we're gonna listen to one of the songs in the beginning, Hala, as a first interlude. When I first heard Soapkills, I said, "Oh, cool! This is like trip hop. This is like Lebanese trip hop." Did you like that label, or did you feel like no, that's not who we are? That we're different. We're not trip hop.
By the time you had heard and labeled the band was already dead, and I had moved to something else. So Yasmin and I never realized our music was heard or appreciated until after the band had stopped. So I never was worried or angry about whatever mention, or I would hear sometimes people say the Lebanese massive attack or the Lebanese Portishead, and I was pleased by that because I loved Massive Attack and Portishead so much that I would totally understand it could reflect in my sound. But the idea behind the sound of Soapkills and its originality was that Yasmin and I were arranging our tracks on machines, on drum machines, because we did not have access to the musicians. So we needed to program the beat and the bass on a machine so we could sing our songs. So it was not about the style. It was a practical aspect. When we were invited to gig somewhere, I could just put my machine in the bag and go wherever I was invited, and it was cheap to travel with, no needing to hire a full band. So, but that influenced the sound. So the sound sounded minimalistic because I would not go into electronic crazy program. No, I just needed a simple beat so we could play guitar and sing on it. But that gives, and Herzan that you're going to play shows that it gives you this minimalistic feel, simplicity, and just trying to be melodic and punchy with the lyrics, you know. And that was totally honest. That's because that's what we could do. That's what we knew. That was the way we knew how to deliver music.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it's the classic line, you know, necessity is the mother of invention. And so it's like, all right, this is the best we can do. So actually, let's listen to Herzan. I'm going to play a clip which people can find on Spotify or on YouTube. So we're going to listen to this first, and then we'll talk a little more about it. Let me get this going.
Oh yeah, I love it.
How do you feel when you listen to this? What's the immediate emotion?
I, no, really, and it makes me so happy, because each sound is joy. Okay, it's like a recipe, and you add a little spice. It tastes. Oh my God, this is so good, and and you keep on going spice after spice, and it reaches that. And what I like, it's so simple, but I re-listen and relive the process, and I love it. I love
Do you
it.
remember, does it remind you of a specific story? Do you remember writing those bass lines? Like what is the memory that it actually triggers?
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind, and I was trying to hear carefully, I was wondering, did I even put guitar in this track? Because this is totally the sound of one machine called RS7000. It's a Yamaha, part like this. And what you hear is typically all the sounds of this machine. There's a preset of effects, where on your whole keyboard there's effects. And I'm just, I've just, triggering each one after another. That's why you have this sci-fi cheap ambience. I'm just playing the presets of the SFX. And then the percussion, they sound a bit simple and humble. Yeah. That's the presets. I'm just totally using this machine. Yasmin is singing very simply, honestly, a little radio effect on her voice. And I think just at the end, I put it chords of guitar. So this is a typical ultra minimalistic production.
Are you playing bass on that same machine, or are you playing bass on a bass?
No, I'm telling you, it's just the machine. I think there's just guitar at the end.
Wow.
We're just playing a machine, pressing. So I just program the machine, I press play, and that's the track you're hearing.
Wait, but how did you program? So you programmed the bass line, you programmed the little the little chords.
Yeah. And you know what's funny? If you look at the keyboard of the machine, it's like baby keyboard. I have to play it with my hands tight and make sure I'm hitting the right chords. I'm telling you, we did not go into a studio for this. It was on the machine. I don't know at the end how it was captured. And the percussion are played on this little keyboard, tiny. It's not like a piano. Everything is programmed on this toy. We are playing a toy, If anyone wants tomorrow to reproduce the real sound of the song, he just has to buy the machine, and he can totally create a Herzan.
So cool.
It's easy. It's not like magical techniques. It's just straight, easy chords.
Did you what was how long did a song like this take to come together? Are you guys just idea? We improvise the idea together and sort of it takes 2 hours and then it's kind of done?
Well, I remember I created this track in an apartment in Berlin during a tour. And I had just seen a band perform called The Bees. The Bees? No, The Bees was another band. Yeah, no, it's The Bees. It was a reggae band, and their show was amazing. Why? It was in a huge arena, and there was one line of speakers, not two. Usually, we're used to 2 lines of speakers, each one on the side. No, their show was 1 line of speakers in the middle, so the show is in mono, and like a bed of bass, and they were playing reggae, and it was the first time I felt the power of reggae. I had this very dull, cliche image of reggae, Bob Marley and smoking weed. And no, when I heard this band, it was all about beautiful bass lines combined with powerful performance. And I came back to the room and I programmed Herzan, inspired by this, what I had just heard.
Yeah.
So this was the moment. Then I wrote the lyrics. We exchanged, Yasmin and I. Always Yasmin has this. She doesn't like the track; it will not exist. So yeah. There was we consult each other and we work around it. In fact, I produced 2 tracks next to each other at that time. Was Herzan, that I wrote the lyrics for, and Wahish, which is slower and heavier. But those 2 tracks were composed one next to another with the machine, And if people check Wahish also somewhere on YouTube, they will recognize the sound of this machine, and they will see Yasmin's style, mellow and heavy, dramatic, and so deep lyric-wise. And my composition, Herzan, more light and naive and childish, which is more my character. And Soapkills was this combination of us two.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Zeid, can I ask you for a favor?
Sure.
Can you have a guitar next to you. Do you ever do acoustic covers of Herzan? Is there like an acoustic version of it?
I always play Herzan in my gigs. I love it. Because ما في شي حزين ما تكون حزين لا من جمال عين بكرة بيخلق مليون. I have my guitar, so the notes are higher. So, but this is the chord progression of
I love it.
Of Herzan, yeah.
Okay, let's it's so cool. Let's talk a little bit about Bedouin Burger, because they kind of are nice like bookends to where we are now, and then we're going to talk about other stuff you're working on. So yeah, tell us a little bit about this track, the one that you chose for Bedouin Burger.
Oh, yeah. So, a lot of people do the analogy with Soapkills for the reason that I'm still with the machines on stage, and next to me a brilliant musician. But Lynn Adib that I met in 2019 is, I would say, at the total extreme opposite of Yasmin. So Bedouin Burger is an encounter between me and this music producer. I would say music producer because she has never been signed before Bedouin Burger, and she had produced her album. And that was a total reflection of what she is, her mellowness and her sense of melody. So when I met with Lynn Adib in 2019, we totally clicked as friends, and really we said we're going to do music together. This is obvious. And she came back in summer 2019 to Lebanon, and we hang out together for the next from summer 2019 until today. We just became inseparable.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, we met in the studio that I had in Gemese during pandemic, and she would record her songs, and I would suggest arrangements for it. The first one was تحت الورد, which is a song she wrote to her husband, I would say, the way she lays him into roses and around his funerals, etc. But the song is so joyful and so powerful as a beat. It's not at all. It's just a celebration of death in the most beautiful way that can be. So to this, so this shows you the twist of mind of Lynn Adib. Great poetry and great sense of rhythm and melody, combined to my fever of big sounding beats. So, and also that's the story behind the name of Bedouin Burger, because Lynn has so much this desire of Bedouin music, Arabic music, desert music. She sings really well Arabic music, and we mix it with the way I handle electronics, because I'm very influenced by American R&B hip hop productions. I love Timbaland. I love Missy Elliott. I love when machines are heavy and go low. And so that's the burger aspect of her Bedouin side. That's why we called it Bedouin Burger.
Yeah. One of
Yeah.
the things that's amazing about the both of you, and I've had the privilege of interviewing Lynn and seeing both of you live and spending time with both of you, is that both of you are multi-instrumentalists. Lynn is an incredibly talented flautist, and just like you guys are constantly trading instruments. It's pretty miraculous to see you both on stage.
Well, Lynn plays flute super well. She plays flute traversière, the other type of flute. She plays a bit of percussion and sings, and she plays some keyboards. I play percussion and sing and play guitar and program. But I'll be very honest with you, I am not a good technician. And I was telling you, when I'm not comfortable on stage, when the audience is harsh, I play less good. I do mistakes. And recently we talked about it, Nina and I, and I decided to start lessons. So I'm taking lessons now with Rami Jundi, wonderful percussionist from Jordan, and his wife Sarah on vocals and percussions. And I'm working my guitar. I want to be a better technician. It's not enough to know how to hold an instrument. You have to play it real well. So I'm back to school this year.
Good for you. I mean, you're underselling yourself, but I think it's all the best musicians are combining, practicing, and
to be fair to real hardworking musicians. I mean, when you see Jacob Collier, this is a brilliant musician, you see. But when you see me on stage, no, I just play the instrument in a creative way. But
yeah, well, I mean, if he's the only one who's brilliant, like it's like a group of five.
No, I can look. Bashar Khalifa plays the piano really well.
Yeah,
he's so good on his instrument. He's a brilliant musician.
Yeah.
A lot of our friends, they master instruments. This is not me. No, I am very creative. That I can say. That's my good point. Lynn Adib on vocals is a marvel. Really. Yeah. I don't think it's the right term. She's marvelous. She can just sing and it's enough.
Yeah.
So no, my quality is mostly creativity, I would say.
Yeah. Tell us about Zamel.
So in this quest of digging treasures of Arabic culture, I would say Lynn one day sends me the link of a Yemeni Zamel. A Yemeni Zamel is a form of poetry where men sit and then they will sometimes discuss in song, in a kind of improv. They will discuss a matter, a topic. Sometimes it can be conflict resolution. Sometimes it's just a prayer for rain, which was the case for this Zamel. So it's a Yemeni form of poetry and music improvisation. So she sent me this very not very watched YouTube video, and the song was really touching and mind-blowing, and we decided to remix it. So,
amazing.
Yeah.
All right.
Lynn tried to make the accent behind it, and this was the rendition.
Cool. So this is also on YouTube. You can find it, Zamel, Zamel. Yes. This is Bedouin Burger.
We combined two.
يا ربي تسقي أرضنا بالزمن ندعو
Lynn and I decided to give every money that the song will generate to a Yemen charity. So we wanted to feel this song would be somehow beneficial, since it would give us so much joy and to give back in a way. So it's the only song on the album that is like a song that we will give all its proceeds back.
Oh wow, beautiful.
Yeah. Where the Yemen is, it's one thing to expose the culture of a country. It's very important to let people, keep them awake about the situation of the people living in the region. And every time the song is played, I'm happy it's an opportunity for us to just talk about the situation of the Yemeni people or the Palestinians or man, crazy. All our region is on fire. It's so sad.
It's so sad. Since we're talking about that, let's talk about the third interlude, which I think you can see. Maybe I'll play it first and then we'll talk about it.
Zeid and the Wings, and this song is called Jazira. It's about indifference and about that we are all linked in our destinies, and that we are not an island. Jazira means island. So. Thank you. Please click on the caption so you can donate and help support the victims of the latest earthquake in Turkey and Syria. Thank you so much.
What a powerful song. What an incredibly powerful song.
I'm so happy you played it. I'm so happy it's being played almost twice because, you know, it's been very hard to play music those last 10 days. Very hard with this happening in the backgrounds of our lives. It's terrible tragedy. Terrible. It's heartbreaking. And this is why, you know, before rehearsing with this band, I was in Dubai this last week. I didn't feel like sharing anything. I didn't want to share me being there. I was ashamed to be a musician in this place. And so this is the first thing we wanted to do when we sat together before rehearsing. We said, let's do something. So
this is a new song inspired by the events.
No, it is not a new song. I wrote the song a few years ago with the Syrian revolution and the tragedy that were happening and the war and the massacres. And in Lebanon, we were clubbing, we were having fun, pretending nothing was happening. And also this was a reaction saying, look, this is us. We are at war. We are being massacred. It's not just the neighbor. You cannot live like that. So that's the song. You know, we are not on an island. We are really linked. It's our country. It's us. Every tragedy is us. It's a part of us. We cannot. For sure, we have to live. We have to continue living. We have to fight to live. It's important to live and laugh and sing. Our children need that. Our friends need that. But it's also very important in every step we make. We have all those people with us in our mind and in our heart. This will influence the way we live and the way we consume.
Yeah. Really, really, really beautiful and incredibly sung. Do you want to mention who the singers are?
Please. So Maria Bukhal is an amazing singer-songwriter.
Yeah.
And on the right is Jeanne Haj, and she's one of the original members of the band.
Cool.
Zeid Hamdan, she's been working and performing with me for more than 10 years.
Amazing.
Almost 15. Yeah.
Incredible. Before we wrap up, so that song, if anyone's interested, it's you can find it on Zeid's Instagram. So that's where you can find it. And there's tons of information about how you can contribute to support the people on the ground who are trying to make a difference. I'm curious about this upcoming project. Some people may not know that you also score films and you write music for films. So tell us a little bit about this, and then we're going to wrap up.
Sure. So, yeah, a big chunk of my life is sitting in front of somebody's movie and trying to contribute to the emotional power of the images. Because I think this is what film music is about. Somebody brings you or sits with you and tells you, I want to achieve this as a film. And from the scenario to the end result, you see how the music can push, help the narration. This is how you say it.
Yeah.
So I love this process. I love the interaction with the directors. And for the last 10 years, I've been producing, I think, good soundtracks. Why do I say that? Because I listen to them with big pleasure. And I realized people cannot hear this music. So I decided to compile them into 10 years of film music. Into March, it should be out.
Amazing. That's so cool. Hopefully it'll be out by the time this comes out. So people also can go to your Instagram. The last thing I want to do is I want to ask you two questions, or two of the three questions that are quick Q&As. The first one is I'm going to adjust is what are you listening to right now? What is the last album or last artist that you played that you're like, oh my God, this is so much fun? Could be somebody you've listened to your entire life, but what have you been listening to?
Honestly, I have friends called Tanjar al-Dagat. They just released an album, and we've been all waiting for it for the last 5 years, I would say. And it has 17 to 18 tracks. And I've been, tasting it. You cannot listen to an album one shot and like it or not. You have to just listen and listen to it again. So I'm starting to have my preferences, and this is what I'm listening to. Tanjar al-Dagat, the latest
Amazing.
album. Yeah, you can check it on their page.
Yeah. This is a band that I've wanted on Quartertones for quite some time, so we're going to have to get them on the podcast as well.
Oh, you have to. Incredible musicians.
Yeah.
Coming. Yeah.
Okay, next one is who would you love to shadow for a day, past or present?
So what does shadow mean?
Like spend a day with as their shadow, sort of just be with them all day long for one.
It's you.
Yeah, right.
I would love to spend a day with you. We always meet like for a second. Who, as an artist? Oh my God, what a question. Who would I like to shadow for a day? As a producer? But there are so many. I mean, I would have loved to spend a day with Asmahan. Oh my God. This woman, turns me upside down. Abdul Wahab I listen to his compositions, Abdul Wahab, and it's so twisted and clever. Farid al-Atrash also. So those great minds of poetry and Arabic culture. Yeah, I would have loved to spend time with them and see how they perceive life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Today,
let me ask you a question. I play music as well, and whenever I've played music with a singer, it's always been a woman. I've played with many women, and only recently have I started playing with a guy, and it ends up being a really different experience. I don't know why, but it does feel a little different. Out of curiosity, sorry?
I agree.
Yeah. And so I'm curious. If you were to choose an artist from the past who was a dream collaborator, I want you to choose a dream like singer, but also a dream musician or rapper or something else.
Okay.
Who would they be? From the past. Any genre.
I love Freddie Mercury so much because he's like the twist of the way the music is written and his vocal capacity. Oh, does it have to be a male or female? No.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I don't know, because you said it's more difficult with male. I switched to collaborating with a male.
Well,
singer.
I mean, do you specifically like working with women, collaborating with women?
I do, specifically in the Arab world. I often speak about that. There is oppressed communities in the Arab world. I can start naming all the oppressed communities, but the LGBT for sure today are really oppressed, and they still fight to exist. And the women. Women are still there having to fight to exist in their houses with their brothers and their parents and their lovers. They're being massacred in silence, unfairly treated, injustice. How is that possible today? This is impossible. We're going to Mars. I'll say we're traveling in space.
Yeah.
We're using solar energy, and the women still have to fight to be able to be a singer or to be able to go out or to exist. Yeah. This is, so I will always try to empower women until we are really sitting in an equal way at the table. That's why I often tend to collaborate with women.
Okay, so from Freddie Mercury, if you were to pick somebody who's not a singer.
No, I said Freddie Mercury, but David Bowie for sure, Missy Elliott, I love Missy Elliott. She inspired me so much. She's so creative. Every time she would release an album would be a new style, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Moses Sumney, I love this guy. He's a bassist singer from New York, right? Moses Sumney is killer. I've been with this song, Don't Bother Calling Me, for the last year.
Amazing.
Trying to play it on guitar and sing it. I love Moses Sumney.
So cool.
Yeah, I would love to play with Yara Asma. She's a young artist from Beirut. But she's not dead. You want a dead artist?
Anyone.
Okay, Yara Asma plays with crazy instruments, making sounds and puppets. And I've been also, you know, examining her work from afar and being like, I want to do things with this girl. She's so talented.
Cool.
And I can go on, you know, because my day is full of me wanting to work with people. And
the last question I'm going to ask you before we close, I know I said we're going to end after that one, but just real quick, are you hopeful about the independent music scene in places like Lebanon and other places that are dealing with such intense political disruptions and conflict?
So, do you mean do I think it's going to get better? That's what hopeful means. Because I'm not happy about how it is. I think it's very bad, and it's the region is sick, rotten to the bone. That's my opinion on the region because of its politics, the people in power. But I know it's gonna get better because it can get worse. Like we're at the bottom.
Be careful! Don't challenge it.
No, come on. We're so low in the worst form of existence. And of power management, but because, you know, like I told you about this artist that I want to work with in Lebanon, and she's actually working there and being able to travel and expose her work. So yeah, you see, I still find inspiration. Muhammad Khansa lives in Beirut. This beautiful singer and composer and producer. He lives there and he's doing Tanjar al-Daghtar in Beirut. So you realize that yes, I'm still very hopeful, and there are artists I'm looking to and that inspire me from the region. And I am hopeful it will be better.
Zeid, thanks so much. People can find your work on social media, ZeidHamdan, on YouTube, Spotify, all over the place. It is a real pleasure to speak to you about your music, and I've been a fan for years, and it's really great to...
Thank you so much for having me. I was very happy to have this conversation with you.